Hey guys, this is a market update. Let's look forward to next week and one of the most important figures the market is looking out for, which is CPI. So latest inflation results. And this just happens to coincide with a pattern that is playing out for Bitcoin right now, which is going to break out of this pattern on the exact day that the CPI figure comes out, which is August 10th. As you can see here, we're in an ascending triangle, which is usually a bullish pattern, but there is going to be a breakout for Bitcoin on the 10th of August from this pattern. We have been continuing to trade within this pattern, and it's one of the cleanest patterns I've ever seen. Like, this is almost like a textbook pattern, which you never really see in real life, but you can see a series of higher lows that we've got. And we even traded on it this week. So down from this resistance level back to this higher low here, and we bounced decisively off this as well. Now, this is despite a figure that came out that perplexed everyone, which was the recent non-farm payrolls, adding 528,000 jobs in July, which obviously doesn't sit well with the narrative that there's a big recession. However, I've got some other data that we're going to look at towards the end of this video to go through that. Just before we continue though, I'm going to be adding some videos to the Crypto Investor course this month. Over the next few days, I'm going to be recording those about putting a portfolio together and some other things that people have been asking for in terms of trading as well. So some day trading videos and some longer term investing videos. If you haven't got the Crypto Investor course yet, new videos are added all the time for free, and there are private Discord groups. You have my trade alerts and portfolio in there as well. So I'll leave that linked in the description if you want to check it out. But in terms of this particular pattern, this ascending triangle pattern is usually a bullish pattern, and this will break out on August 10th. Now, I believe it's going to break potentially to the upside. I think I lean towards that way. You can obviously never tell. The reason being though is because we are in a bullish pattern, and I think the market is actually discounting a lot of the trading figures that are coming out. So for example, this figure is at odds. How can we add one of the best jobs figures in July, considering there's a recession? How do those two play out? Well, what we can see from a lot of the unemployment data, especially this chart right here, is that jobs tend to, or the job market tends to get very tight right before an actual heavy recession. And that's what we're seeing now. So back in the 1970s, you could see that the unemployment rate was extremely low right before that recession, and then you get a spike in unemployment. And you can see that generally, in a general sense, that when employment or when unemployment becomes very low and the job market becomes very tight, that is usually a signal that there is going to be an official recession here. And these gray areas, as you can just see, I think these are actually official recessions. So in 1970, in the 80s and 90s, 2000, 2008, you can see a heavy recession there. The job market gets very tight, unemployment falls, and then you get this spike. And that's exactly what we've got down here as well. A very, very tight labor market. And there are many, many reasons for this. Obviously, you have this spike here with COVID, which is, you can't kind of foresee that happening. But the job market is very tight, which in the past has happened right before a recession. You have Elon Musk saying that he thinks a recession is coming as well. Elon Musk as well saying that he thinks inflation is charting down from what he sees and all of the things he buys for his companies. He's seeing the rate or the rate of price increases coming way down. So he actually thinks inflation has peaked. And that is why even with a jobs figure like this, the market sold off initially thinking, well, if the jobs market is tight, maybe inflation will stay high, but then it actually rallied towards the end of the day. And you saw Bitcoin do that as well. It came off a little bit, but it rallied further towards the end of the day. And that's why I think the market itself is looking forward and discounting some of these figures right now. The market's looking forward and saying we have quite a high probability of a recession, which means lower interest rates, potentially monetary easing, which sounds crazy, but there's a bill going through in Congress right now, which again, that is stimulus. It's called an inflation reduction bill, but that's absolute nonsense. It is actually stimulus. And so that's what the market is looking at. The market is saying we have a higher probability of that recession, and so the monetary landscape is going to be a lot easier, which is why you've seen this ascending triangle play out in Bitcoin and why you've seen the NASDAQ rally way off the lows. And it's been going on for about 6 weeks now. So this is why I think that if the inflation figure on the 10th of August comes in even flat or below consensus, then right when this ascending triangle is going to break out, that's why I would put a higher probability on an upside break. But what we're looking at here, of course, no one can predict those figures or what will happen, but we're looking at an upside break of a test of the higher resistance. So we're looking at around 28,000. If the figure comes out absolutely terrible and inflation is still rising, then I do expect it to break down, because that would be going into a recession with unemployment and high inflation, which is a terrible scenario. And that could easily, break down and then try and find the previous support level, which is around 19,000. So for me, this is like a binary trade. It's either going to break up or down. Obviously, you don't know, but I'm leaning towards that bullish bias, because I think the market has in its head now that inflation is going to be coming way down and that recession is here. That is how the market is trading right now, but that figure can definitely change things. But for now, that is how I'm seeing things. Either way, this is going to break out next week. So super exciting the next few days to position some trades. Even if you're not a trader and you don't want to trade directionally, I think a great trade would be like an options trade or a volatility trade, because what we're seeing here as well is the volatility come right down and get really tight. And this is just another example of something where, when the volatility shrinks, you're going to get a breakout one way or another. So even just to play a volatility trade here with options, or maybe even a breakout trade where you put some stop orders either side, it's different ways of trading. I go through that in the crypto course if you want to see some of those strategies, but this is going to play out next week. So a really pivotal time for Bitcoin. Check out the Crypto Investor course if you want. I'll link it in the description. If you want $4,000 as a deposit bonus in your futures trading account, check out Bybit as well. I'll leave them in the description. They'll give you a deposit bonus. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.